Clara Whitmore's frozen fingers lost their grip. Her youngest son slipped from her arms into the snow. She screamed, no sound came out. Her throat was ice. 5 boys. 5 miles through the blizzard. She'd carried 2 of them. Now her body was failing. The ranch house stood 50 feet away. Light in the window. Smoke from the chimney. She crawled, dragging 3-year-old Jacob against her chest. The older boys stumbled behind her, crying, calling for her. Mama! 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 Her fist hit the door once, twice. Then everything went black. If this story touches your heart, subscribe to our channel and stay until the end. Drop a comment telling us which city you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories travel. The door shook under someone's fist. Elijah Blackwood set down his whiskey. He didn't move. Probably one of the ranch hands drunk on Christmas Eve looking for more liquor. They could freeze for all he cared. The pounding came again, weaker this time. Boss ain't receiving visitors, he muttered to nobody. Then he heard it. A child's voice, thin as paper, barely cutting through the wind. Please, please help us. Eli crossed the room in 4 strides. He yanked the door open. A woman lay crumpled on his porch. A small boy clutched her coat, sobbing. Behind them, 4 more children huddled together like a litter of half-frozen pups. Good Lord! Eli dropped to his knees. The woman's face was white as bone. Ice crystals clung to her lashes. He pressed 2 fingers to her neck. Pulse. Faint, but there. She won't wake up. The oldest boy's voice cracked. Maybe 11 years old, trying to be brave. Failing. I tried. She just fell. Eli didn't waste words. He scooped the woman into his arms. She weighed nothing, just skin and desperation, and carried her inside. All of you, get in here, now. The children scrambled through the doorway. Eli laid the woman on the rug before the fireplace. He threw logs onto the dying flames, building them high. You, he pointed at the oldest. What's your name? Daniel, sir. Daniel Whitmore. Daniel, help me get her wet clothes off. She'll die if we don't warm her. The boy's face reddened. She's my mother, and she'll be your dead mother if we don't move fast. I ain't looking at nothing. I'm saving her life. Daniel hesitated 1 more second. Then he nodded. Together they stripped off the frozen shawl, the soaked dress. Eli wrapped her in quilts, positioned her close to the fire. Her lips were blue, her breathing shallow. How long were you out there? I don't know. Daniel's teeth chattered. Hours. Our wagon wheel broke. Ma said we had to walk. Said she saw a light. Eli looked at the other boys. The second oldest, maybe 9, held 2 smaller ones against his chest. The youngest couldn't have been more than 3, silent and shaking in his brother's arms. What are your names? The 9-year-old spoke up. I'm Samuel. This here's Thomas and Benjamin. The little one's Jacob. 5 boys. 5 children in a blizzard on Christmas Eve. Where's your father? Silence. Daniel's jaw tightened. Dead, Samuel said quietly. 6 months now. Eli's chest constricted. He knew that particular silence, the kind that followed death. Get those wet things off, all of you. There's blankets in that chest. He pointed across the room. Wrap up and get by the fire. I'll make something hot. He moved to the kitchen. His hands shook as he pumped water into the kettle, not from cold, from something else. Something he hadn't felt in 12 years. Behind him, he heard the boys shuffling, the rustle of wet fabric hitting the floor. One of the younger ones whimpered. Shh, Benny. That was Thomas, the 7-year-old. It's warm here. We're safe now. Safe. The word hit Eli like a fist. When was the last time anyone had felt safe in this house? He returned with hot water, found cups, mixed honey into the warmth. The boys drank like they hadn't tasted anything in days. Maybe they hadn't. When did you last eat? Daniel looked away. Yesterday morning. Ma gave us the last of the bread. And her? She said she wasn't hungry. Of course she did. Eli had seen it before. Mothers feeding their children while their own stomachs screamed. Fathers working until their bodies broke. Parents destroying themselves to keep their young alive. He went back to the kitchen. Cold chicken. Biscuits from 2 days ago. Apples. He loaded a plate and brought it out. Eat. Slow or you'll get sick. The boys fell on the food. Even Daniel forgot his pride long enough to stuff biscuits into his mouth. On the floor, the woman stirred. A soft moan escaped her lips. Eli knelt beside her. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open. Brown eyes, deep and afraid. She tried to sit up. "Easy." He pressed a gentle hand to her shoulder. "You're safe. Your boys are safe." "My boys." Her voice was raw, broken. She struggled against his hand. "Mama!" The little ones rushed to her. Benjamin and Jacob threw themselves onto her chest. Thomas grabbed her hand. Samuel hung back, but his eyes were wet. "Oh, my babies." She wrapped her arms around them, tears streaming down her frozen cheeks. "Oh, thank God, thank God." Daniel stood apart watching Eli with suspicious eyes. "You saved us," the woman whispered. She looked up at Eli. "You didn't have to open that door." "Reckon I didn't have to," Eli said. "Did it anyway. I'm Clara. Clara Whitmore. Elijah Blackwood. Most folks call me Eli." Recognition flickered in her eyes. "The Blackwood Ranch. Everyone in Wyoming knows this place." "Seems so." She looked around the room, the massive fireplace, the high ceilings, the furniture covered in dust, the Christmas without decorations. "You live here alone?" "I do." She didn't ask why. Something in his face must have warned her off. "I'm sorry to impose. We'll leave as soon as—" "You ain't leaving anytime soon." Eli stood. "Storm won't break for days. Roads are buried. You'd be dead before you made it a mile." Clara's face crumpled. She was trying not to cry, trying to stay strong for her boys. "I can't impose on you for days. I have nothing. I can't pay you." "Did I ask for payment?" "No, but—" "Then stop talking about it." His voice came out harsher than he intended. He softened it. "You got 5 boys who need food and warmth and rest. I got 8 empty bedrooms and enough supplies to last the winter. Don't make this complicated." She stared at him. Nobody had spoken to her like that in a long time. Like her pride didn't matter. Like her survival did. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would you help strangers?" Eli looked at the boys clustered around their mother. At the youngest one clutching a scrap of blanket. At the oldest one still watching him like he was a threat. "Because it's Christmas," he said finally. "And because I reckon even a cold old rancher knows the difference between right and wrong." He turned away before she could respond. The first night was survival. Eli carried Clara upstairs to the bedroom that had belonged to his mother. The boys followed, dragging blankets. He built a fire in the small hearth, piled quilts on the bed. "The 2 oldest can sleep in the room next door. There's 2 beds. The younger ones stay with their mother tonight." "Thank you." Clara's voice was barely audible. The warmth was making her drowsy, her body shutting down to heal. "Don't thank me yet." Eli moved toward the door. "We ain't out of the woods." Daniel blocked his path, 11 years old, trying to stand tall, trying to be the man of a family he was too young to lead. "I don't trust you." Eli stopped. "Smart boy. If you hurt my mother or my brothers—" "You'll what?" Eli's voice was quiet, dangerous. "You'll fight me. You weigh about 90 pounds soaking wet, boy. I could break you in half." Daniel didn't back down, his fists clenched at his sides. Something like respect flickered in Eli's chest. "But I ain't going to hurt your mother," he continued. "Ain't going to hurt any of you. I'm going to feed you, warm you, and wait out this storm. When the road's clear, you can go wherever you were headed. That's the beginning and end of it. Why should I believe you? You shouldn't. Believing strangers is how people get hurt. Eli stepped around him. Keep watching me, Daniel. Keep protecting your family. That's what a man does. He walked out without looking back. The night stretched long and cold. Eli sat by the fire downstairs, listening to the storm rage outside. The wind screamed like something dying. Snow piled against the windows. He thought about the woman upstairs. Clara Whitmore, widow with 5 boys, walking through a blizzard on Christmas Eve, carrying children, starving herself so they could eat. What kind of desperation drove someone to that? He knew, of course. He'd seen it during the war, seen families fleeing Sherman's march carrying everything they owned on their backs, seen mothers die on the road so their children might live another mile. But that was 20 years ago. The war was over. Peace had supposedly come. Yet here was this woman running from something bad enough to risk death in a storm. He didn't ask. Wasn't his business. Whatever she was running from, she'd outrun it for now. That was enough. Upstairs, a child cried out in sleep. Nightmare, probably. Eli heard footsteps. Clara's voice soft and soothing. The crying stopped. He closed his eyes. Let the fire warm his face. This house had been silent for 12 years. Silent since Ruth and little Emma had left it forever. Silent since he'd buried his heart in the ground beside them and told himself he'd never feel anything again. Now there were voices. Children's voices. A woman's voice. It hurt. God, it hurt. But it didn't hurt the way he expected. It didn't make him want to run. It made him want to... He stopped the thought cold. Don't be a fool, old man. They'll be gone in a week. Back to their lives. And you'll be alone again, same as always. He stared into the flames until his eyes burned. Morning came gray and bitter. The storm had slowed but not stopped. Snow fell in thick curtains outside the windows. Eli had been awake for hours. He'd fed the livestock, checked on the horses, made sure none of his ranch hands had frozen overnight. Now he stood in the kitchen making breakfast. Eggs, bacon, biscuits from scratch, coffee strong enough to wake the dead. He hadn't cooked for anyone else in 12 years. His hands remembered anyway. Footsteps on the stairs. He looked up. Clara stood in the kitchen doorway. She wore a dry dress from her bag, simple calico faded from washing. Her hair was pinned up loosely, dark circles under her eyes, but she was standing, moving, alive. You shouldn't be up, Eli said. I've been lying down all night. She moved to the table, sat heavily in a chair. My boys. Still sleeping. Let them rest. She nodded. Her eyes tracked around the kitchen, taking in the food cooking, the coffee brewing, the dust in corners, the cobwebs near the ceiling. You weren't expecting company. I wasn't expecting anything. He poured her coffee, set it before her. Drink that. She wrapped her hands around the cup, closed her eyes as the warmth seeped into her fingers. You saved our lives last night. You saved your own lives. Walking 5 miles through a blizzard with 5 children, that ain't luck. That's pure stubbornness. Stubbornness is all I have left. They sat in silence. Outside, wind rattled the windows. Where were you headed? Eli asked. Before the wagon broke. Fort Laramie. My aunt runs a boarding house there. She said she'd take us in. That's another 80 miles from here. I know. In January. With 5 boys. In a wagon. Clara's jaw tightened. I know. You were running from something. It wasn't a question. She didn't deny it. My husband's brother. The words came out flat. Dead. Marcus died 6 months ago. Shot by robbers at our store in Denver. Silas's brother decided I belonged to him now, along with everything Marcus left us. Belong to him. He wants to marry me. Says it's proper. Says the boys need a father. Her hands shook on the cup. He doesn't want a wife, Mr. Blackwood. He wants property. Eli felt something dark and cold settle in his chest. He hurt you. Not yet. Not physically. She looked at him. But he would have. I saw it in his eyes. The way he looked at Daniel like my son was a problem to be solved. The way he looked at me like I was already his. So you ran. I ran. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She wiped them away angrily. Sold everything we owned for wagon fare and supplies. Left in the middle of the night. Drove for 3 weeks. And then that wheel broke, and the storm came, and I thought... Her voice broke. I thought I'd killed them. All of them. My babies. But you didn't? No, because you opened your door. Eli stood, poured himself coffee, stared out the window at the white hell outside. This brother-in-law, Silas, he'll come looking for you. I don't know, maybe. He's not a patient man. He knows you were headed for Fort Laramie. I don't think so. I told everyone we were going to San Francisco. Smart. Eli filed that away. Even if he does come looking, he said slowly, he's got no claim on you. You're a widow, free woman. He can't force you into marriage. He has money, connections. He's friends with the sheriff in Denver. Clara's voice was bitter. Men like him don't need legal claims. They take what they want. Not in Wyoming, not on my land. She looked at him sharply. What do you mean? I mean if some fancy man from Denver shows up here making demands, he'll learn real quick that Wyoming ranchers don't take kindly to bullies. Eli turned to face her. You're safe here, Mrs. Whitmore. You and your boys, long as you need to be. I can't ask you to. You ain't asking. I'm offering. Something shifted in her face, the tight lines of fear softening, just a fraction. Why? She whispered. Why would you risk trouble for strangers? Eli thought about that, about the honest answer. Because this house has been dead for 12 years, and your boys made it alive again. Because you remind me of Ruth strong and scared, and too proud to admit either one. Because I've spent my whole life building something that means nothing without people to share it with. He couldn't say any of that. Because it's the right thing to do, he said instead. And because I reckon I've got nothing better to do with my time. The boys came down like a small hurricane. Samuel first clutching a blanket around his shoulders, then Thomas rubbing sleep from his eyes. Benjamin ran straight to his mother, climbing into her lap. Daniel carried Jacob, who was still half asleep and whimpering for milk. There's food, Eli said gruffly. Sit down and eat. They sat. They ate. They ate like they'd forgotten what full stomachs felt like. Eli watched them. Samuel ate methodically, making sure his younger brothers got enough. Thomas snuck bacon to Benjamin under the table. Daniel fed Jacob, carefully tearing biscuits into small pieces. Clara tried to serve herself last. Eat. Eli pushed a full plate toward her. You skipped meals so they could eat. I know the trick. Don't do it in my house. She looked like she might argue. Then she looked at her boys, at their faces, finally relaxing into something like safety. She ate. After breakfast, the older boys explored the house. Eli heard them exclaiming over the size of the rooms, the number of doors, the stairs that seemed to go on forever. It's like a castle, Thomas shouted from somewhere upstairs. It ain't a castle, Daniel said, but his voice had lost some of its edge. Benjamin and Jacob sat on the rug by the fire, playing with their own hands, making shadow puppets in the flickering light. Clara started washing dishes. You don't need to do that, Eli said. I need to do something. She pumped water into the basin. I'm not good at sitting still. Neither am I. Then we'll work together. They washed dishes in silence, side by side at the basin, their hands occasionally brushing in the soapy water. How long have you lived here alone? Clara asked. 12 years. She waited for more. He gave her nothing. You built all this yourself. My father started it. I finished it. It's beautiful. Eli looked around the kitchen, at the dust, the neglect, the emptiness that had felt normal until yesterday. It's a house, he said. Walls and roof. Don't mean nothing without people in it? Clara stopped washing, looked at him. You lost someone. It wasn't a question. Everyone's lost someone. That's not an answer. No, it ain't. She didn't push. That surprised him. Most people pushed. I'm sorry, she said quietly. Whatever it was, I'm sorry. He nodded once. Didn't trust his voice. That afternoon, the storm raged harder. Eli brought in extra firewood, filled every fireplace in the house. The boys helped carry smaller pieces. Even Jacob tried to drag a stick across the floor, proud of his contribution. Good work, Eli told him. The boy beamed, missing teeth and absolute joy. Something cracked in Eli's chest. He retreated to his workshop behind the house. Needed space, needed to breathe. But after an hour, he heard the door creak open. Mr. Blackwood. It was Thomas, 7 years old, too thin, eyes too big for his face. What do you need, boy? What are you making? Eli looked down at his hands. He'd been carving without thinking. A horse taking shape from pine. Nothing important. Thomas moved closer, watched Eli's knife work the wood. Can you teach me? The question hit Eli harder than it should have. Why would you want to learn this? My pa said every man should know how to make things with his hands. Thomas's voice dropped. But he died before he could teach me. Eli set down the knife. He should say no, should keep his distance. These people would leave in a week. No point getting attached. But Thomas looked up at him with those big eyes, waiting, hoping. Sit down, Eli heard himself say. I'll show you how to hold the knife. Evening came fast. Eli found himself at the supper table surrounded by people for the first time in 12 years. The boys argued over biscuits. Benjamin spilled milk. Jacob threw food on the floor and laughed about it. Chaos. Pure chaos. Eli had forgotten what family sounded like. After supper, Clara tried to put the boys to bed. Benjamin and Jacob went easily exhausted from the day. Thomas fell asleep in minutes. Samuel sat on his bed staring at the window. What's wrong? Eli asked from the doorway. Nothing. The boy's voice was tight. Try again. Samuel looked at him. 9 years old, old enough to understand more than anyone gave him credit for. Are we safe here? Really safe? Eli crossed the room, sat on the edge of the bed. You're worried about the man your mama mentioned. Your uncle. He's not my uncle. Samuel's fists clenched. He's mean. He hit Daniel once, when nobody was looking. Told him if he said anything worse would happen. Eli felt that cold darkness settle in his chest again. Your brother tell your mother? No, Danny said it would just worry her more. Said he could handle it. Your brother's brave. He's scared. We're all scared. Samuel's voice cracked. I don't want to be scared anymore, Mr. Blackwood. Eli put a hand on the boy's shoulder. The gesture felt foreign. He'd forgotten how to comfort children. Listen to me, Samuel. Listen good. As long as you're in this house, nobody's going to hurt you. Not your brothers, not your mother, not you. I give you my word. How can you promise that? Because I've got 30 ranch hands who work for me. Because I've got guns and horses and more stubborn than most men have sense. And because... He paused. Because I know what it's like to lose people you love. I ain't going to let it happen to your family. Samuel searched his face, looking for lies, finding none. Okay, he whispered. Okay. Eli stood. Get some sleep. Tomorrow, I'll show you how we take care of horses in winter. Later, Eli stood on the porch smoking a pipe he rarely touched. The storm had finally quieted. Snow fell soft and silent now. Stars peeked through breaking clouds. The door opened behind him. "You should be sleeping," he said without turning. "So should you." Clara moved to stand beside him. She'd wrapped a quilt around her shoulders. "I wanted to thank you again." "You've thanked me enough. Not for the shelter, for what you said to Samuel." She was looking at the stars. "I heard you, through the door. He's been so scared since Marcus died. Trying to be strong for Thomas and the little ones. Watching Daniel carry too much. I didn't know how to help him. You've been carrying plenty yourself. That's what mothers do. Doesn't mean you have to carry it alone." She turned to look at him. In the starlight, her face was silver in shadow, beautiful in a way that made his chest ache. "What happened to you, Elijah Blackwood? What made you so kind and so lonely at the same time?" The question cut deeper than it should have. "I lost my wife and daughter, 12 years ago. Scarlet fever took them both in 1 week." Clara's breath caught. "I'm so sorry." Ruth was 26. Emma was 4. His voice was steady, distant, like he was talking about someone else. "I built this ranch for them. Every board, every fence post. And then they were gone. And I kept building anyway, because I didn't know what else to do." They stood in silence. The wind whispered through bare branches. "I understand," Clara said softly. "After Marcus died, I kept opening the store every morning, closing it every night, going through the motions, because if I stopped moving, I'd have to feel it. Does it get easier? No. You just get better at carrying it." Eli looked at her. This woman who'd walked through a blizzard for her children, who'd run from danger with nothing but stubbornness and love. "Your boys are lucky," he said, "to have a mother like you." "They're all I have." "That ain't nothing, Mrs. Whitmore. That's everything." She smiled, just a flicker, gone almost before it appeared. "Clara, please, if I'm going to impose on you for a week, you might as well call me Clara." "Clara, then." The name felt strange on his tongue, intimate. "And it ain't imposing. Not anymore." "What is it then?" He thought about the empty house behind him, the silence that had pressed against his ears for 12 years, the way it had lifted when 5 boys burst through his door. "I don't know yet," he admitted, "but it feels like the start of something." Clara didn't respond, but she didn't move away either. They stood together on the porch watching snow fall on Wyoming, both of them broken and both of them breathing. Inside, the fire burned warm and steady, waiting for them to come back home. 3 days passed like water through fingers. Clara woke each morning to the smell of coffee already brewing. Eli rose before dawn, same as always. She'd find him in the kitchen scrambling eggs or frying bacon, his movements rough but practiced. "You don't have to cook for us," she said on the 3rd morning. "I'm cooking anyway. Might as well make enough." "At least let me help." He handed her a spatula without argument. They worked side by side in silence. Clara cracked eggs while Eli sliced bread. Their elbows brushed once. Neither mentioned it. "Mama!" Benjamin came running down the stairs, Thomas close behind. Jacob toddled after them, still unsteady on his small legs. "Mr. Eli said he'd show us the horses today." Benjamin's face was bright with excitement. "Real horses. Big ones." Clara looked at Eli. He shrugged. "Promised the boy yesterday. Storms let up enough to reach the barn." "Can we, Mama, please?" "After breakfast. And you'll do exactly what Mr. Blackwood tells you." "Yes, ma'am." The boys ate fast, shoveling food like they'd never see another meal. Old habits Clara knew. Habits born from hunger and fear. Daniel came down last. He sat at the far end of the table, eating in silence. His eyes never left Eli. "You coming to see the horses?" Samuel asked him. "Someone needs to stay with Mama." "I don't need watching Daniel." Clara kept her voice gentle. "Go with your brothers." "I'd rather stay." Eli set down his fork. Boys made his choice. Let him be. Daniel's jaw tightened. He didn't thank Eli. Didn't acknowledge him at all. Clara sighed. This battle would take time. After breakfast, Eli bundled the 4 younger boys in coats too big for them. His old coats, she realized. Clothes he'd kept for 12 years with no one to wear them. "Stay close," he told them. "Don't spook the horses. They're gentle, but they're big. Understand?" 4 heads nodded. "Let's go." Clara watched from the window as they trudged toward the barn. Benjamin held Eli's hand without being asked. Thomas ran ahead, then ran back, then ran ahead again. Samuel carried Jacob on his back. "He's not what I expected." Clara turned. Daniel stood beside her, also watching. "What did you expect? A rich man. Acting rich." Daniel's voice was flat. "Pa always said rich men only care about themselves. Your father also said never to judge a man until you've seen him tested. I remember. Mr. Blackwood has been nothing but kind to us. So far." Clara put her hand on Daniel's shoulder. He was so tense, coiled like a spring ready to snap. "I know Silas hurt you," she said quietly. "I know you're scared, but not every man is like him." Daniel pulled away. "You don't know that." "No, I don't." She let him go. "But I believe it. And I need you to try believing it too." He didn't answer, just stood by the window watching his brothers disappear into the barn. The morning stretched into afternoon. Eli taught the boys to groom horses. Clara heard their shouts and laughter from inside the house. Even Jacob was giggling, sitting on Eli's shoulders while they walked through the barn. She cleaned, cooked, mended clothes, anything to keep her hands busy and her mind quiet. Daniel helped without being asked. He was good with chores, thorough and careful. But he moved through the house like a ghost, avoiding the rooms where his brother's joy echoed loudest. "He'll come around," Eli said that evening. They sat by the fire after the boys had gone to bed. Clara had a cup of tea. Eli had whiskey. Neither of them was tired. "He's been protecting this family since Marcus died. He doesn't know how to stop." "Smart boy. Brave." Eli stared into the flames. "Reminds me of myself at that age." "You had to protect someone." "My mother, after my father died." He took a slow sip of whiskey. "I was 13. Pa got kicked by a horse, died 3 days later. Mama fell apart. So I held everything together, ran the ranch, raised the cattle. Didn't let myself be a boy anymore. That's a heavy burden for a child." Daniel's carrying the same one. I can see it in his eyes. Eli looked at her. He needs to know it's not his job anymore, that someone else can carry it for a while. He doesn't trust you. He shouldn't. Trust is earned, not given. Clara set down her tea. "How do I help him? How do I make him understand that we're safe here?" "You don't make him understand anything. You show him, day after day, until the truth becomes undeniable." Eli finished his whiskey. "That's all any of us can do." The fire crackled. Wind moaned outside. "You're a good man, Elijah Blackwood." He didn't look at her. "I'm a man who made too many mistakes. Good's got nothing to do with it." "What mistakes?" "More than I can count." He stood. "Get some sleep, Clara. Storm's picking up again. Might be stuck here longer than we planned." She watched him climb the stairs, listened to his footsteps fade. Stuck here longer. Part of her dreaded it. Part of her didn't. The 4th morning brought new snow. Clara found Eli on the porch before dawn, staring at the white blanket covering everything. "How bad is it?" "Bad." His breath fogged in the cold. "Another week at least, maybe 2. "I'm sorry." "For what?" "For being a burden. For taking advantage of your kindness." He turned to look at her. In the gray light, his face was all hard angles and shadow. "You say that word again, burden, and I'll throw you out in the snow myself." Despite everything, Clara laughed. "Is that how you treat all your guests?" "I don't have guests. Haven't had anyone in this house for 12 years. He paused. Until you. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Eli. Don't. He held up a hand. Don't say whatever you're thinking. We got weeks ahead of us. Plenty of time for things to get complicated. Let's not rush it. She nodded, stepped back. He was right. They both knew he was right. But knowing didn't make it easier. By noon, the boys were restless. Benjamin had knocked over a lamp. Thomas had gotten into a fight with Samuel over a toy horse. Jacob wouldn't stop crying. I'm going crazy, Samuel moaned. There's nothing to do. There's plenty to do. Eli emerged from somewhere in the house. He'd been gone for hours. Come with me. He led them to a room Clara hadn't seen. A large space in the back of the house filled with lumber and tools and half-finished projects. This is my workshop. Been meaning to clean it out for years. Thomas's eyes went wide. Can we touch stuff? You can do more than touch. You can build. For the next 3 hours, Eli taught them. Simple things at first, how to sand wood, how to hammer a nail straight. Thomas took to it like breathing. Samuel was methodical and careful. Benjamin mostly made noise with the hammer. Even Jacob contributed, handing Eli nails one at a time with immense concentration. Clara watched from the doorway. Eli's patience surprised her. He never yelled, never rushed, just showed them again and again until they got it right. Your turn. She startled. Eli was looking at her. Me. Everyone should know how to build something. Come here. She crossed the room. He handed her a piece of wood and a knife. Carving, easier than hammering. He positioned her hands. His fingers were rough and warm against hers. Angle the blade. Push away from yourself. Slow and steady. Clara tried. The knife slipped. She nicked her thumb. Ow! Eli took her hand without thinking. Examined the cut. Pressed his handkerchief against it. Not deep. You'll live. His face was very close. She could see the gray in his beard, the lines around his eyes, the scar along his jaw she'd never noticed before. Thank you, she whispered. He released her hand, stepped back. Try again, slower this time. She did. The blade bit clean into the wood. Better. They carved in silence while the boys chattered around them. That night, Daniel cornered Eli in the hallway. I want to learn too. Eli stopped. Learn what? Whatever you're teaching them, the horses, the tools, all of it. Thought you didn't trust me. I don't. Daniel lifted his chin. But my brothers do, and I need to know what you're putting in their heads. Eli studied the boy. 11 years old. Eyes too old for his face. Fair enough. Tomorrow morning. Before dawn. Why before dawn? Because that's when the real work happens. The stuff your brothers are too young for. Eli moved past him. See if you can keep up. Daniel watched him go. Something shifted in his expression. Not trust, not yet. But maybe the beginning of respect. Dawn came cold and brutal. Daniel was waiting on the porch when Eli emerged. The boy's teeth were chattering, but he didn't complain. First lesson, Eli said. A rancher doesn't complain about cold, tired, or hungry. He just works. Yes, sir. They trudged to the barn. Eli showed him how to check on the horses in winter, how to break ice in the water troughs, how to measure out feed. Daniel worked hard, harder than Eli expected. Your father teach you any of this? No, sir. He was a shopkeeper. Books and ledgers. Daniel's voice was steady. He was good at it, just wasn't this. Different kind of work. Not better or worse, just different. Silas said shopkeeping was weak, said real men work with their hands. Eli stopped, turned to face the boy. Silas is a fool. Your father built a business that fed 5 children. He provided. He protected. That's what a real man does. Doesn't matter if it's with hands or books or brains. Daniel's composure cracked. Just a little. He also said I'd never amount to anything. That I was soft like my father. Nah. Do you believe him? I don't know. The boy's voice broke. Sometimes. When I'm scared. When I can't protect them. Eli knelt down, put his hands on Daniel's shoulders. Listen to me. You've been protecting your family for 6 months. You've been strong when you wanted to break. You've been brave when you wanted to run. His grip tightened. That ain't soft. That's the hardest thing a man can do. Tears welled in Daniel's eyes. He blinked them back furiously. I'm scared, he whispered. All the time. What if Silas finds us? Then he'll have to go through me. You don't even know us. I know enough. Eli stood. And I know this, you ain't alone anymore. You got me now, for whatever that's worth. Daniel stared at him. The wall behind his eyes trembled. It didn't fall, not yet, but it was starting to crack. Clara noticed the change at breakfast. Daniel sat closer to his brothers. He even laughed once at something Thomas said. What happened? She asked Eli quietly. Nothing, just work. But his eyes told a different story. The 5th day brought a visitor. Eli heard the horse before he saw it. He stepped onto the porch, hand instinctively moving toward the rifle by the door. A rider emerged from the tree line, bundled against the cold, moving slow. Easy, Eli muttered to himself. Might be nothing. But his gut told him otherwise. The rider approached, stopped at the bottom of the porch steps. Afternoon. The man's voice was rough. City rough, not country rough. Name's Victor Crane, looking for the Blackwood Ranch. You found it. You the owner? I am. Victor Crane dismounted. He was tall, well-dressed despite the cold. Something about his eyes set Eli's teeth on edge. I'm looking for a woman, widow with 5 boys. Heard she might have passed through this area. Eli's expression didn't change. Lot of widows with children in Wyoming. Gonna need more than that. Name's Clara Whitmore, traveling from Denver. Her brother-in-law is worried sick. Hired me to bring her home safe. Brother-in-law, Silas. Haven't seen her. The lie came easy. But I'll keep an eye out. Crane studied him, those snake eyes missing nothing. Mind if I water my horse long ride? Pumps around back. Help yourself. Crane nodded, led his horse toward the rear of the house. Eli waited until he was out of sight. Then he moved fast. Inside, Clara was in the kitchen. She looked up at his face and went pale. What is it? Man outside looking for you. Says he's working for Silas. Her hand flew to her mouth. Oh God. Oh God. Listen to me. I told him I haven't seen you. He's watering his horse. When he leaves believing you ain't here. What about the boys? They're upstairs. Keep them there. Keep them quiet. He grabbed her shoulders. Clara, look at me. She looked, terrified. I ain't going to let him take you. I gave you my word. That word means something. If he finds out you lied, then he finds out. Doesn't change anything. Footsteps on the porch. Crane was coming back. Go, Eli hissed. Upstairs, now. Clara ran. Eli opened the door before Crane could knock. Appreciate the water, Crane said. His eyes moved past Eli, scanning the house. Big place for one man. I like space. Must get lonely. I manage. Crane smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. If you see the woman, there's a reward. $200. Silas Whitmore is a generous man. I'll keep that in mind. You do that. Crane tipped his hat. Safe travels, Mr. Blackwood. He mounted his horse, rode back toward the tree line. Eli watched until he disappeared. Then he went inside and locked every door in the house. Clara was shaking when he found her. He'll come back. He knows something. He suspects. Doesn't know. Eli paced the room. But he's not stupid. He'll check the area, ask questions in town. We have to leave. In this weather with 5 children, you'd be dead in a day. Then what do we do? Eli stopped pacing, looked at her. We wait, we watch, and we prepare. Prepare for what? For whatever comes next. That night Eli sat by the window with his rifle across his lap. Clara couldn't sleep. She came downstairs and found him there. You should rest. Can't. Not tonight. She sat across from him, wrapped in a blanket, eyes hollow with fear. He'll tell Silas. Silas will come himself. Maybe. You don't know him. He's relentless. He doesn't stop until he gets what he wants. Neither do I. Clara shook her head. This isn't your fight. You didn't ask for any of this. No, I didn't. Eli looked at her. But I'm in it now, and I don't run from fights. Why risk everything for strangers? The question hung in the air. The fire crackled. Wind howled outside. Because 12 years ago, I lost everything that mattered. My wife, my daughter, my reason for living. His voice was steady, but something underneath trembled. I've been walking through life like a ghost ever since, going through motions, building nothing that matters. He paused, swallowed hard. Then you showed up on my doorstep, you and those 5 boys, and for the first time in 12 years I felt something other than empty. Clara's eyes filled with tears. I ain't saying I'm in love with you. It's too soon for that, but I'm saying... He struggled for words. I'm saying you woke something up in me, something I thought was dead. And I ain't going to let some city man take that away, not without a fight. Eli. Go to sleep, Clara. I'll keep watch. She didn't move, just sat there, tears streaming down her face. Then she reached across the space between them, took his hand. He didn't pull away. They sat like that until dawn, not speaking, just holding on. 2 hands in the darkness. 2 people who'd found something worth protecting. The 7th morning brought sunshine. Eli woke with a crick in his neck and Clara's hand still in his. She'd fallen asleep in the chair, head tilted at an awkward angle. He freed his hand gently, covered her with another blanket. Then he went outside. The snow was blinding in the sunlight, already starting to melt in patches. The road might be passable in a few days. That meant Crane could come back. With reinforcements. With Silas himself. Eli walked to the bunkhouse. His foreman, Hector Rawlings, met him at the door. Boss, didn't expect you till later. Need to talk. Hector's face grew serious. He'd known Eli for 20 years. Knew when something was wrong. Inside, Eli explained. The widow, the children, the man looking for them. And you want us to protect them, Hector said. I want you to protect this ranch. What happens inside my house is my business. But if someone comes looking for trouble, then we give them trouble back. Hector studied him, then smiled. Been a long time since I've seen that look in your eyes, boss. What look? The look of a man with something to fight for. Eli didn't respond. Didn't need to. The boys will be ready, Hector said. Whatever you need. Thank you. Don't thank me. Hector clapped him on the shoulder. It's about damn time you started living again. Clara was awake when Eli returned. Where did you go? Talked to my men. They know the situation. They'll watch the roads. She nodded, still shaken from yesterday. The boys are asking questions. They heard us talking last night. What did you tell them? The truth. That someone might come looking for us. That they need to stay close to the house. How did Daniel take it? He's ready to fight. Clara almost smiled. He wanted to know if you had extra guns. Boy after my own heart. This isn't funny. No, it ain't. Eli moved closer. But we can't live in fear every minute. The boys need normal. They need to believe we're safe. Are we? Safe as I can make us. She looked at him. Really looked. Seeing something she hadn't seen before. You've changed, since that first night. So have you. What do you mean? First night you were running, just trying to survive. Now you're fighting. There's a difference. Clara considered that. You're right. I spent 6 months running from Silas. Running from his shadow, his threats. She straightened her shoulders. I'm tired of running. Then stop. It's not that simple. Ain't nothing simple about it. But you gotta make a choice. Keep running forever, or plant your feet and stand. And if I stand, Eli met her eyes, held them. Then you won't stand alone. The moment stretched, fragile as glass. Clara broke it first, looked away. I should make breakfast. Yeah. He stepped back. I should check the horses. They moved apart, both feeling what they couldn't say. It wasn't time yet, but it was coming. That afternoon, Thomas finished his first carving. A horse, small and rough but recognizable. Look, Mama. Look what I made. Clara examined it with appropriate seriousness. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Mr. Eli helped me. He said I'm a natural. Across the room, Eli pretended to focus on his own work, but Clara saw the pride in his eyes. Did you thank him? Thank you, Mr. Eli. You did the work, boy. I just showed you how. Benjamin tugged at Thomas's sleeve. Make me one. Make me one. You gotta wait. I'm making one for Mama first. Clara's heart swelled. These moments, these small precious moments. This was what Silas wanted to destroy. She looked at Eli, found him watching her. Thank you, she mouthed. He nodded once, went back to his carving, but his hands weren't steady anymore. The 8th night brought dreams. Eli dreamed of Ruth, of Emma, of the house filled with laughter instead of silence. He woke with tears on his face, footsteps in the hallway, a soft knock. Eli, Clara's voice. Are you all right, I heard? He opened the door, didn't bother hiding his face. Bad dreams. I have them too. They stood in the dark hallway, both in night clothes, both haunted by their ghosts. Come downstairs, Clara said. I'll make tea. He should have said no, should have kept his distance. He followed her anyway. In the kitchen, she heated water. He sat at the table watching her move through his space like she belonged there. Do you dream about them, your wife and daughter? Sometimes, less than I used to. He accepted the cup she offered. Tonight was different. How? They were happy, laughing, playing in the yard. His voice caught. Emma ran to me, hugged my legs, said, Daddy, come see. And when I followed her, he stopped, couldn't continue. What did you see? You and your boys, standing where Ruth used to stand. Clara set down her cup. Her hand trembled. What do you think it means? I think it means I'm losing my mind. He tried to laugh, failed. I think it means something's changing, something I can't control. Does that scare you? Terrifies me. Me too. They sat in silence. The fire had burned low. Neither moved to rebuild it. My husband never looked at me the way you do, Clara whispered. Eli's breath caught. Clara, I'm not asking for anything. I'm just saying. Marcus was a good man, but he was never really present, never really saw me. She met his eyes. You see me, Eli. I don't know what to do with that. Neither do I. So what do? We wait. We figure it out. We don't rush into something we can't undo. Is that what you want, to wait? The question burned between them. Eli stood, walked to the window, put his back to her. What I want doesn't matter. What matters is what's right. And right now, you're scared and vulnerable and grateful. That ain't a foundation for anything real. You think my feelings are just gratitude? I think you don't know what your feelings are, and neither do I. He turned to face her. When this is over, when Silas is dealt with, when you're safe, when you're free, if you still feel something, we'll talk. But not now. Not like this. Clara stood, crossed to him, stopped just inches away. You're a good man, Eli Blackwood. Better than you know. I'm trying to be. She reached up, touched his face, just for a moment. Then she turned and walked away. Eli stood alone in the dark kitchen. His cheek burned where her fingers had been. Outside, the wind picked up. The storm wasn't over yet. The 10th morning brought riders. Eli saw them from the barn. 3 men on horseback moving slow through the melting snow. He recognized Crane in the lead. His blood went cold. Hector! His foreman appeared from the stables. I see them, boss. Get Clara and the boys to the cellar. Now. What about you? I'll handle this. Hector didn't argue. He ran toward the house. Eli walked to meet the riders. His rifle hung loose at his side. Not threatening. Not yet. Crane stopped 20 feet away. The 2 men flanking him were rough types. Hired muscle. Mr. Blackwood. Crane's smile was thin. Thought I'd pay another visit. Road still bad. Surprised you made it through. Determination, Mr. Blackwood. When a man wants something bad enough, he finds a way. What do you want? Crane dismounted, slow and deliberate. I spoke to some folks in town. Interesting thing, nobody's seen this widow I'm looking for. But the general store owner remembers selling supplies to a tall rancher. Supplies for more than one person. Children's clothes. A woman's dress. Eli's expression didn't change. I got 30 hands on this ranch. They got families. Do they now? Crane stepped closer. Mind if we take a look around? I do mind. That ain't very hospitable. I ain't feeling hospitable. The 2 hired men shifted in their saddles, hands moving toward weapons. Mr. Blackwood, Crane's voice dropped. I'm going to be straight with you. Silas Whitmore is a powerful man, rich, connected. He wants his brother's widow back, and he's willing to pay handsomely. He's also willing to cause trouble for anyone who gets in his way. That a threat? It's information. Use it how you like. Eli looked at the 3 men, weighed his options. Get off my land. Excuse me? You heard me. Get off my land. You got no authority here, no badge, no legal right. You're just hired thugs trespassing on private property. Crane's smile disappeared. You're making a mistake. Wouldn't be my first. Silas is coming himself. Tomorrow, maybe the day after. He doesn't take kindly to interference. Neither do I. The standoff stretched. One of the hired men's hands twitched toward his gun. Eli raised his rifle in one smooth motion, pointed it at Crane's chest. Tell your boss I'll be waiting. Now ride. Crane's eyes flickered, calculating. Then he stepped back. You'll regret this, Blackwood. Maybe, but not today. The 3 men mounted up, rode back toward the tree line. Eli didn't lower his rifle until they disappeared. Clara was waiting on the porch when he turned around. Her face was white. I told Hector to take you to the cellar. I couldn't hide, not anymore. Her voice shook. I heard everything. Silas is coming. Appears so. We have to leave, tonight, before he gets here. And go where the roads are still half frozen. You'd make it 10 miles before dark, and then what, camp in the wilderness with 5 children? Better than putting you in danger. Eli climbed the porch steps, stopped in front of her. Clara, listen to me. I've faced down Confederate soldiers. I've fought rustlers and thieves and men worse than Silas Whitmore. I ain't scared of some Denver businessman with a grudge. This isn't your fight. Stop saying that. His voice was sharp. You don't get to decide what I fight for. Not anymore. Her breath caught. What does that mean? It means... He stopped. Started again. It means something changed. That night in the kitchen. When you touched my face. Something changed. Eli. I ain't asking for anything. I ain't declaring anything. But I need you to understand this is my fight now. You made it my fight when you walked through that door. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm scared. I know. Not just for me, for you, for my boys, for everything we might... She couldn't finish. Eli reached out, wiped her tears with his rough thumb. Whatever happens, we face it together. That's how it works now. Understand? She nodded, leaned into his hand. For one moment they stood there, connected. Then Eli stepped back. Get the boys. Keep them inside. I need to talk to my men. He walked toward the bunkhouse. Clara watched him go. Something had shifted between them, something irreversible. The day passed in tense preparation. Eli positioned men around the property, armed, alert. Hector coordinated the patrols. Inside the house, Clara tried to maintain normalcy. The boys sensed something was wrong. Even Jacob was fussy, refusing his food. Why is everyone acting strange? Samuel asked. Nothing's wrong, sweetheart. You're lying. Daniel's voice was flat. Something's coming. Clara looked at her oldest son. He deserved the truth. The man who's been looking for us. He might come here. Silas. Daniel's jaw tightened. He found us. Not yet, but he's close. What are we going to do? Mr. Blackwood has men watching the roads. We're as safe as we can be. That's not what I asked. Daniel stepped forward. What are we going to do, us? This family? Clara felt pride swell in her chest. This boy, this child, ready to fight for his brothers. We stay together. We trust Mr. Blackwood. And if the worst happens, it won't. Daniel's voice was fierce. I won't let it. Daniel! He hit me, Mama. Silas, when you weren't looking, he grabbed my arm so hard it bruised. Said if I told anyone, he'd make you pay. The words came rushing out, a dam finally breaking. I never told you because I was scared. Because I thought he'd hurt you. Clara's heart shattered. Oh, baby. She pulled him close. He resisted for a moment, then collapsed against her. I'm so sorry. I should have known. I should have protected you. It's not your fault. You didn't see. I should have seen. I'm your mother. Daniel pulled back. His eyes were wet but fierce. That's why we can't let him win. Not now. Not ever. Clara cupped his face in her hands. He won't win, I promise you, whatever it takes. Daniel nodded, wiped his eyes, squared his shoulders. I'm going to help Mr. Eli. Daniel? I'm not asking permission, Mama, I'm telling you. He walked out before she could stop him. Clara stood in the empty room, heart pounding. Her little boy was becoming a man. She just prayed he'd live long enough to finish growing up. Eli found Daniel waiting at the barn. Your mother know you're here? Yes. She approved. No. Eli almost smiled. What do you want? Teach me to shoot. You're 11. My father was dead at 34. Age don't mean nothing. The boy had a point. Why should I teach you? Because Silas is coming. Because I need to protect my brothers. Because... Daniel's voice cracked. Because you're the only man I trust to show me. Eli studied him. Saw the fear underneath the bravado. The desperation underneath the pride. Come on. He led Daniel behind the barn to where he'd set up targets years ago. This is a Winchester rifle, lever action, 7 rounds. He held it out. It's heavy. You'll need to brace it against your shoulder. Daniel took the rifle, His arms shook under the weight. Feet apart, shoulder width. That's your foundation. Eli adjusted the boy's stance. Rifle tight against your shoulder, cheek against the stock. Look down the barrel. Daniel followed instructions. His breathing was rapid. Slow down. Take a breath. Let it out halfway. Then squeeze. Don't pull. Squeeze. The shot cracked through the air, missed the target by 3 feet. Again. Another shot. Closer this time. Again. Shot after shot. Daniel's arms trembled from the strain, but he didn't stop. Didn't complain. After 20 rounds, he finally hit the target. I did it. His face lit up. Once. Do it again. Daniel's smile faded. He raised the rifle again. They practiced until dark. By the end, Daniel was hitting the target consistently. Not perfect shots, not even good shots, but shots that would count if it came to it. That's enough for today. Daniel lowered the rifle. His arms were shaking badly now. Mr. Eli. Yeah. I'm sorry for how I acted when we first came, for not trusting you. You were protecting your family. Nothing to apologize for. Still, I was wrong about you. You're a good man. Eli felt something shift in his chest, a wall crumbling. So, are you Daniel? Your father would be proud. The boy's eyes glistened. He nodded quickly and looked away. Can we practice again tomorrow? If there's time. Do you think Silas will really come? Eli looked toward the darkening horizon. He'll come. Men like him can't stand being defied. It eats at them. Are you scared? Any man who says he ain't scared before a fight is either lying or stupid. Fear keeps you sharp, keeps you alive. But you'll fight anyway. Some things are worth fighting for. Your mother, your brothers, this family you've got. Eli put his hand on Daniel's shoulder. That's worth any fight. Daniel stood straighter. I'll be ready. I know you will. They walked back to the house together. For the first time, it felt like walking side by side. Not man and boy. 2 men preparing for what was coming. That night, Clara found Eli in his usual spot by the window. Daniel told me you taught him to shoot. He asked. I couldn't say no. He's 11 years old. He's also the oldest male in your family. He feels responsible. Better he knows how to defend himself than not. Clara sank into the chair across from him. I hate this, all of it. My children shouldn't have to learn to shoot. They should be playing, learning, being children. Should be doesn't mean much, is means everything. How do you live like that? So practical, so hard. 20 years of war and loss will do that to a man. Eli's voice was distant. You learn to focus on what's in front of you, what you can control. The rest just drives you crazy. What about hope dreams the future? What about them? Don't you ever think about what comes next? After all this is over. Eli was quiet for a long moment. I didn't used to. For 12 years I didn't think past the next day, the next task. There was no future, just an endless present. And now. He looked at her, really looked. Now I find myself thinking about spring, about gardens planted and children running through fields, about this house full of noise and chaos and life. He paused. About you. Clara's breath stopped. Eli. I know. I said we'd wait, and we should. But you asked what I think about, and I'm telling you the truth. For the first time in 12 years, I'm thinking about tomorrow, about next year, about growing old. With me. The question hung between them. I don't know. Maybe. If you'll have me. His voice was rough. If we survive what's coming. Clara stood, crossed to him, knelt beside his chair. I don't want to wait anymore. Clara. I spent 5 years with a man who never really saw me, who lived in his head while I lived alone. I won't waste whatever time we have left on waiting." She reached up, took his face in her hands. "I'm not asking for promises. I'm not asking for forever. I'm asking for right now." Eli's resolve cracked. He leaned down, pressed his forehead against hers. "I haven't kissed anyone in 12 years. Then maybe it's time." Their lips met, soft at first, tentative. Two broken people finding each other in the darkness, then deeper, more urgent. Years of loneliness pouring into a single moment. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "Well," Eli said roughly, "that's done now." Clara laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in months. "That's done. No going back." "I don't want to go back." He pulled her close, held her against his chest. "Whatever happens tomorrow, don't." She pressed her finger to his lips. "Don't talk about tomorrow. Let's just have tonight." He nodded, kissed her forehead. They stayed that way until dawn. Two people who'd found something worth fighting for. The morning of the 12th day changed everything. Eli heard the horses before sunrise, multiple horses, moving fast. "Clara, wake up." She stirred against his shoulder. They'd fallen asleep by the fire, still holding each other. "What is it?" "They're here." All softness fled her face. She was on her feet in seconds. "The boys." "Get them to the cellar. Take the rifle I left by the stairs. Don't come out until I tell you." "Eli." "Go. Now." She ran. Eli grabbed his own rifle and stepped onto the porch. 6 riders emerged from the tree line, Crane in front, and beside him a man in expensive clothes riding a black horse. Silas Whitmore. Even at a distance, Eli could see it. The arrogance, the entitlement, the cold calculation in his eyes. The riders stopped at the edge of the property. Silas dismounted first. He walked toward the house like he owned it. "Elijah Blackwood." His voice was smooth, cultured, wrong. "I believe you have something that belongs to me." "Don't know what you're talking about." "Please, don't insult my intelligence." Silas stopped 10 feet away. "Clara Whitmore and her children are in this house. My man Crane tracked them here days ago. I'm simply here to collect them." "They ain't your property to collect." "Actually, they are. My brother's widow falls under family obligation. The children need a father. I'm simply fulfilling my duty." By chasing her across 3 states, by sending hired thugs to threaten a peaceful rancher. "I've threatened no one." Silas's smile was ice. "I'm a businessman making a reasonable request. Return my sister-in-law and her children, and there'll be no trouble. And if I don't, then I'll be forced to take legal action. Kidnapping is a serious crime, Mr. Blackwood, even in Wyoming. Ain't kidnapping if she came willingly. A court might see it differently, especially when I have witnesses who'll testify that you took her by force. Those witnesses would be lying. Would they?" Silas glanced at his men. Amazing what people will say when properly motivated. Eli's grip tightened on his rifle. "Get off my land, Whitmore." "Not without Clara." "She doesn't want to go with you." "I don't care what she wants." The words hung in the air. Honest. Brutal. True. "There it is," Eli said quietly. "The real you. Not the concerned brother-in-law. Just a man who thinks he can take whatever he wants. I am a man who gets what he wants. Always have been. Always will be." Silas stepped closer. "This little game has gone on long enough. Either you produce Clara and the children, or my men will tear this house apart until we find them. You try that, and you'll die on this porch. You'd murder me in cold blood. Self-defense ain't murder. You're trespassing, threatening. Any court in Wyoming would call it justified." For the first time, uncertainty flickered in Silas's eyes. "You're bluffing. Try me." Behind Silas, his men shifted nervously. They were hired guns, professional, but they hadn't signed up for a real fight. Blackwood. Crane spoke up. Maybe we should discuss this calmly. Stay out of this. Silas didn't look away from Eli. I'm not leaving without that woman. Then you ain't leaving. Silas's face twisted. You stupid fool. You think you can defy me? I own half of Denver. I have judges in my pocket, politicians who owe me favors. I could destroy you without lifting a finger. You're not in Denver. You're on my land. Your judges don't mean nothing here. Your money don't mean nothing here. Eli raised his rifle. Here, all that matters is who's got the gun and the will to use it. The front door burst open. Daniel ran onto the porch, rifle in hand. Daniel, no! Clara screamed from inside. But the boy didn't stop. He skidded to a halt beside Eli, raised his rifle, and pointed it at Silas. You won't touch my mother. Silas's eyes widened. Put that down, boy. I ain't a boy, and I ain't scared of you anymore. Daniel. Silas softened his voice, tried for charm. This is a family matter. Let the adults handle. You're not my family. Daniel's voice cracked but held. You hit me. You threatened my mother. You made us run in the middle of the night. That ain't family. That's a monster. Silas's mask slipped. Something ugly flashed across his face. You ungrateful little... Finish that sentence. Eli's voice was death. See what happens. Silas stopped, looked from Eli to Daniel to the house where Clara stood in the doorway. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Clara stepped onto the porch. Her face was pale but determined. I'm done running, Silas. Done hiding. You want me? You'll have to take me. And you'll have to go through every person on this ranch to do it. Clara, be reasonable. I am being reasonable, for the first time in months. She walked to stand beside Eli. You can't have me. You can't have my sons. We're not yours. We never were. Marcus would have wanted. Don't you dare speak his name. Her voice broke. Marcus loved me, really loved me. He would never have wanted me given to a man like you. Silas's face contorted with rage. You think this rancher can protect you, one man against my resources? One man. Hector stepped out of the barn. Behind him, 15 ranch hands followed, all armed, all ready. Seems like the lady's got plenty of protection. Silas looked around, saw himself surrounded. This is insane. No. Eli lowered his rifle slightly. This is Wyoming. We take care of our own. The standoff stretched. Seconds felt like hours. Finally, Crane spoke. Mr. Whitmore, perhaps we should reconsider. Shut up. Sir, with respect, there's no winning here. Not today. Silas's jaw worked. His hands clenched and unclenched. Then slowly he stepped back. This isn't over, Blackwood. I'll be back. With the law. With warrants. With everything necessary to take what's mine. Try it, and I'll have lawyers of my own waiting, plus witnesses, plus a telegraph message to every newspaper in the territory about a Denver businessman harassing a widow and her children. Eli stepped forward. You think your reputation will survive that kind of attention? For the first time, Silas looked truly shaken. You wouldn't. Watch me. The two men stared at each other. Predator against predator. Silas broke first. Mount up. He snapped at his men. They obeyed quickly, clearly relieved. Silas climbed onto his horse, looked down at Clara. You've made an enemy today. I made an enemy 6 months ago. Today I just stopped being afraid of him. Something almost like respect flickered in Silas's eyes. Then it was gone, replaced by cold fury. We'll meet again. I'll be waiting. He wheeled his horse around and rode away. His men followed. Nobody moved until they disappeared into the tree line. Then Clara's legs gave out. Eli caught her before she hit the ground. I've got you! I've got you! She was shaking, crying, laughing, all at once. We did it! We actually did it! Mama? The boys came running from inside. Benjamin and Jacob threw themselves at her legs. Thomas grabbed her hand. Samuel stood back, tears streaming down his face. Daniel still held his rifle. His hands were finally trembling. "I did it," he whispered. "I stood up to him." Eli put his hand on the boy's shoulder. "You did more than that. You became the man your mother needed." Daniel looked up at him. The wall that had stood between them finally crumbled completely. "Thank you. For everything. Thank yourself. You had the courage. I just showed you where to point it." Clara pulled Daniel into the family embrace. Eli stepped back, watched them hold each other. A complete family. A real family. And for one moment, he felt like he might be part of it. Hector appeared beside him. "He'll be back, boss. Men like that don't give up easy." "I know. What's the plan?" Eli looked at Clara, at the boys, at the life he suddenly wanted more than anything he'd ever wanted. "We prepare, we protect, and we don't let him win. Simple as that. Simple as that." Hector nodded, clapped him on the shoulder. "Good to see you living again, Eli." "Good to have something to live for." The sun climbed higher. The first real warmth of approaching spring touched the snow. And in the chaos of the porch, surrounded by people who needed him, Eli Blackwood felt something he hadn't felt in 12 years. Hope. Real, terrifying, beautiful hope. 3 days of silence felt worse than the confrontation. Eli paced the house like a caged animal. Clara watched him wear grooves into the floorboards. "He's planning something," Eli muttered. "A man like that doesn't just give up." Maybe he realized he couldn't win. No, he's regrouping, finding another angle. Eli stopped at the window. "That's what I'd do." Clara rose from her chair, crossed to him. "You're not like him. I know how men like him think. That's close enough." She put her hand on his arm, felt the tension thrumming through him. "Whatever he's planning, we'll face it together." Eli looked at her. Some of the hardness in his face softened. "I'm not used to that, facing things together." "Neither am I, but we're learning." He covered her hand with his, rough fingers against smooth skin. "I need to go to town, talk to the sheriff, get ahead of whatever Silas is scheming." "I'll come with you." "No, you stay here. Keep the boys close." "Eli." "Clara." His voice was firm. "If something happens, they need you. I won't take that risk." She wanted to argue, wanted to insist on standing beside him. But she looked at her sons playing by the fire. Benjamin showing Jacob how to stack blocks. Thomas carving in the corner. Samuel reading. Daniel standing guard at the window like a miniature version of Eli. "Come back to us. Always." He kissed her forehead, grabbed his coat and rifle. The door closed behind him. Clara sank into a chair and tried to breathe. The ride to town took 2 hours. Eli pushed his horse hard, mind racing faster than hooves. Silas had resources, connections. He wouldn't let the humiliation stand. The question was how he'd strike back. Legal action seemed most likely. A man like Silas preferred fighting in courtrooms where money talked louder than truth. But desperation made men dangerous. And Silas had looked desperate when he rode away. The town of Miller's Creek appeared over the ridge. Small but growing. A general store, a saloon, a church, a sheriff's office. Eli tied his horse and walked inside. Sheriff Tom Harden looked up from his desk. 50 years old, gray beard, eyes that had seen too much. "Eli Blackwood. Been a while." "Tom, I need to talk." "Figured you might. Had some interesting visitors yesterday." Eli's jaw tightened. "Whitmore." His lawyer, fancy fellow from Denver, came in waving papers and making threats. Harden leaned back in his chair. "Said you kidnapped a widow and her children. Demanded I ride out and arrest you." "What did you tell him?" "Told him to go to hell." Some of the tension left Eli's shoulders. "Appreciate that." "Don't appreciate it yet," He'll be back. With actual legal documents this time. Judge Peterson owes some folks in Denver. Wouldn't take much to get a warrant. On what grounds? Doesn't matter. Grounds can be invented. You know how it works. Hardened stood. Walked to the window. What's the real story here, Eli? Woman showed up on my doorstep during the blizzard. Her and 5 boys. Half frozen. I took them in. And Whitmore? Her dead husband's brother. Wants to force her into marriage. Take control of her children. She ran to escape him. She tell you this? She told me, and I believe her. Hardened turned to face him. That's good enough for me, but it won't be good enough for a judge who's been bought. What are my options? Legally, not many. Whitmore's got papers that make him look like a concerned family member. You've got the word of a woman who fled in the middle of the night. Hardened sat back down heavily. In a fair world, that would be enough. We don't live in a fair world. So what do? Marry her. Eli blinked. What? Marry the woman. If she's your wife, Whitmore's got no claim. No legal standing. She's not his sister-in-law anymore. She's Mrs. Blackwood. I can't just... It's too soon. Is it? Harden's eyes were sharp. Way I hear it, you've been hovering over that ranch like a mother hen for 2 weeks. My deputy says you bought children's clothes at the general store, women's things, supplies for a family, not a bachelor. That doesn't mean... It means something changed, something big. Hardened leaned forward. I've known you 20 years, Eli. Watched you build that ranch. Watched you bury Ruth and Emma. Watched you turn into a ghost walking among the living. Eli looked away. For the first time since the funeral, you look alive. Whatever this woman is to you, she matters. So stop pretending and do something about it. The words hit harder than expected. It's only been 2 weeks. Ruth accepted your proposal after 3 days. That was different. How? Eli couldn't answer. Hardened stood, extended his hand. Marry her, Eli, before Whitmore finds another way to take her from you. Because I promise you he won't stop. Men like him never do. Eli shook the sheriff's hand. His mind was spinning. Marriage. Could he really ask Clara to marry him? After everything. After so little time, and more importantly, would she say yes? He was still thinking about it when he heard the gunshot. Clara heard the riders before she saw them. Her blood went cold. Not again. Not so soon. Daniel. Her oldest appeared instantly. I hear them. Get your brothers. The cellar. Now. Mama. Do it. Daniel ran. Clara grabbed the rifle Eli had left her. She moved to the window, counted the riders. 4 men. Not Silas. She didn't see him among them. But Crane was there, leading them. They stopped at the edge of the property. Mrs. Whitmore. Crane's voice carried across the snow. We need to talk. Clara didn't answer, didn't move. We're not here to fight. Mr. Whitmore sent a message, a proposition. I don't want his propositions. You should hear this one. It's about your sons. Her heart stopped. What about my sons? Come outside and I'll tell you. Peacefully. You think I'm stupid? I think you're a mother. And I think you'll do anything to protect your children. Crane's voice was smooth, reasonable, terrifying. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Clara's hands shook on the rifle. She should wait for Eli, should stay inside, should keep the door barred. But her sons were in the cellar, and this man was talking about them. She opened the door. Crane smiled. Smart woman. Say what you came to say. Mr. Whitmore is willing to make a deal. He'll withdraw all legal claims. Stop pursuing you. Let you live wherever you want. Crane paused. In exchange for Daniel. The world tilted. What? Just the oldest boy. Daniel's old enough to be useful. Mr. Whitmore wants an heir, someone to shape, to mold. Crane's smile widened. The other 4 can stay with you. You'd never have to see Silas again. You want me to sell my son? I want you to make a practical choice. 1 boy for freedom. Seems like a fair trade. Clara's finger found the trigger. Get off this property. Mrs. Whitmore, now. Crane's eyes flickered. He glanced at the rifle, at her face. You won't shoot. Try me. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Crane laughed, cold and cruel. You've got spirit. Silas will enjoy breaking it. He turned to his men. The boy, get him. 2 riders spurred forward. Clara fired. The shot went wide, but it was enough. The horses reared. The riders fought for control. Bitch! Crane drew his pistol. Another shot cracked through the air, not from Clara. Crane's hat flew off his head. He dove for cover. Daniel stood on the porch, rifle raised, hands steady. I said get off our property. Daniel, no. I'm not going anywhere, Mama. Not with them, not ever. The riders had recovered. They drew weapons. 4 guns against a woman and a boy. Then Hector appeared from the barn. 3 ranch hands behind him. Seems like you boys picked the wrong day for a visit. Crane looked around. Calculated odds. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Hector's voice was granite. Mr. Blackwood gave clear orders. Anyone threatening this family gets buried on the property. You want to test that? The silence stretched. Crane holstered his weapon. Tell Blackwood he's made a powerful enemy. He already knows. The riders turned and fled. Clara's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the porch, rifle clattering beside her. Mama! The younger boys rushed from inside. Benjamin threw himself into her arms. Jacob was crying. Thomas and Samuel stood frozen with fear. Daniel didn't move from his position. His rifle still pointed at the empty road. It's okay, Clara whispered. It's okay. They're gone. But it wasn't okay, and they all knew it. Silas wanted Daniel, wanted to take her son and make him his own, over her dead body. Eli arrived an hour later to find chaos. Hector met him at the gate, explained what happened. By the time he reached the house, his blood was ice. Clara. She ran into his arms, shaking, crying. He wanted Daniel. He tried to take Daniel. I know. Hector told me. Eli held her tight. Where is he? Inside. He won't put down the rifle. Eli found Daniel in the kitchen, still standing guard, still armed. Daniel. I almost shot him. The boy's voice was hollow. I wanted to. I really wanted to. But you didn't. I should have. Then he couldn't come back. Eli knelt in front of him, gently took the rifle from his shaking hands. Listen to me. You did exactly right. You protected your family. You showed courage. That's enough. It's never enough. Tears spilled down Daniel's cheeks. He won't stop. You said so yourself. Men like him never stop. Then we'll stop him ourselves. How? Eli looked at Clara, at the boys gathered behind her, at this family he'd somehow inherited. I'm going to marry your mother. Silence. Clara's hand flew to her mouth. Eli. Not for love, not yet, for protection. He stood, faced her. If you're my wife, Silas has no legal claim, no standing. You're not his brother's widow anymore. You're mine. You can't just, this isn't. It's practical. It solves the legal problem. His voice softened. And maybe with time it could become something more, something real. Clara stared at him, tears streaming down her face. You would marry me just to protect us. I would do anything to protect you. The words came out rough, honest. That's what I've been trying to tell you. These 2 weeks they changed everything. You changed everything. Eli. Say yes, please, before I lose my nerve. She laughed through her tears. crossed to him, took his face in her hands. Yes. Behind them, Benjamin cheered. Thomas and Samuel exchanged confused looks. Jacob didn't understand but clapped anyway. Daniel stepped forward. Does this mean you'll be our father? Eli looked at the boy, at all 5 boys. If you'll have me. Daniel extended his hand, man to man. I'll have you. They shook. Something permanent settled between them. They were married 3 days later. Sheriff Harden performed the ceremony in his office. Hector stood as witness. The boys lined up in their best clothes, really their only clothes faces, solemn and hopeful. Clara wore a simple blue dress she'd found in the general store. Eli wore the same suit he'd worn to Ruth and Emma's funeral. It felt right somehow. Closing one chapter, opening another. Do you, Elijah Blackwood, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. And do you, Clara Whitmore, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? She looked at Eli, at this rough, broken man who'd opened his door and his heart to strangers. I do. Then by the power vested in me by the territory of Wyoming, I pronounce you man and wife. Harden smiled. You may kiss the bride. Eli hesitated. They'd kissed before. But this felt different. Final. Clara solved his dilemma by pulling him down and kissing him herself. The boys cheered. Hector wiped his eyes and pretended it was dust. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Blackwood. Mrs. Blackwood. Clara Blackwood. She smiled at the sound of it. For the first time in months, it felt like the future might actually arrive. They returned to the ranch as a family. The ride home was different, the boys chattering excitedly, Benjamin asking endless questions about what married meant, Jacob falling asleep against Samuel's shoulder. Daniel rode beside Eli. Neither spoke much, but the silence was comfortable now, the silence of men who understood each other. I'm going to call you Pa, Daniel said suddenly. If that's okay. Eli's throat tightened. That's more than okay. I never had a real one. I mean, I had Pa, my real Pa, but he was always somewhere else, in his books, his numbers. Daniel paused. You're here. Really here. I ain't going anywhere. I know. The boy smiled. Actually smiled. That's why I'm calling you Pa. They reached the ranch as the sun set. Eli helped Clara down from the wagon. Her hand lingered in his. It's our home now, he said. Yours and the boys, not just mine anymore. It feels like home already. Clara. He hesitated. I know this marriage was practical. I know it happened fast. I don't expect... I won't assume. She silenced him with a finger on his lips. You talk too much. I'm just saying. I heard you, and I'm saying stop worrying. She moved closer. We have time. Plenty of time. Let's just see where this goes. He nodded, kissed her forehead. Welcome home, Mrs. Blackwood. Good to be home, Mr. Blackwood. The boys ran inside, filling the house with noise and chaos. For once, Eli didn't mind. 1 week of peace. 7 days of something like normal. Breakfast together. Chores completed as a family. Evenings by the fire, Clara mending, while Eli carved and the boys played. It couldn't last. Eli knew it wouldn't last. The telegram arrived on a Sunday morning. Hector brought it from town, face grim. Boss, you need to see this. Eli took the paper, read it twice. His blood turned to ice. What is it? Clara appeared in the doorway. Eli, you're white as a sheet. Silas is dead. What? Killed in Denver 3 days ago, shot in his own study. Eli looked at her. They're saying you did it. Clara's legs buckled. She grabbed the doorframe for support. That's impossible. I've been here. I haven't left the ranch. I know, But someone's telling the authorities different. He read the telegram again. There's a warrant for your arrest. Murder. First degree. They can't. I didn't. I know. Eli crumpled the paper. Someone's framing you. But who? Who would? Crane. The name came out like a curse. Silas is dead. Crane's out of a job. Unless what? Unless he's the one who killed Silas. And now he needs someone to blame. Clara's face drained of color. They'll hang me. They won't touch you. I won't let them. Eli, this is murder. Real murder. Not just threats and custody battles. Her voice broke. They'll take me from my children. From you. Nobody's taking you anywhere. He pulled her close. We'll figure this out. We'll prove you're innocent. How I'm a widow who ran from her brother-in-law and ended up married to a stranger 2 weeks later. How does that look to a judge? She was right. It looked terrible. But Eli had spent 20 years building this ranch. Building a reputation. Building relationships. Time to cash in every favor he was owed. Hector. The foreman appeared. Ride to town. Get Sheriff Harden. Tell him we need him here. Now. Yes, boss. And Hector, tell him to come armed. We might have company. Hector nodded and rode out. Clara was shaking in his arms. What do we do now? We wait, we plan, and we pray. None of them felt like enough. Sheriff Harden arrived 2 hours later. He brought news that made everything worse. Crane's talking to anyone who'll listen. Says he witnessed the murder. Says Clara came to Denver in disguise, shot Silas in cold blood, and fled back here. That's a lie. Clara's voice was desperate. I never left this ranch. I know it's a lie, but lies don't need to be true to be believed. Harden removed his hat, rubbed his forehead. He's got people backing him up. Paid witnesses who'll swear they saw a woman matching your description in Denver. So what do? We need an alibi. Someone who can prove Clara was here during the time of the murder. I can prove it, Eli said. She was with me. You're her husband. Your word alone won't be enough. What about Hector? The other hands? Better. But Crane will argue they're loyal to you, would say anything you told them to. Clara sank into a chair. Her face was gray. There's no way out. There's always a way out. Eli's voice was granite. We just have to find it. Daniel appeared in the doorway. He'd been listening. What about the telegram? What telegram? The one Mama sent to Aunt Catherine. From the general store. The day after she and Mr. Eli after they talked in the kitchen. Daniel stepped forward. I went with her. The shopkeeper can prove she was here. He keeps records of all telegrams. Hope flickered in Clara's eyes. I did send that telegram. I sent it 3 days ago. When was Silas killed? Eli asked Harden. 4 days ago. Evening. So if we can prove Clara was sending telegrams from Miller's Creek that same day, she couldn't have been in Denver. It's physically impossible. Harden nodded slowly. That might work. That might actually work. Get the records. Get the shopkeeper's testimony, whatever it takes. I'll handle it. Harden stood. But Eli, this buys us time. It doesn't solve the bigger problem. What bigger problem? Crane. He's not going to stop. Even if this alibi holds, he'll find another way. Another angle. You backed him into a corner, and cornered animals are dangerous. What are you suggesting? Harden's eyes met his. I'm suggesting someone needs to find Crane, before he finds you. The room went silent. Everyone understood what that meant. No. Clara stood. No more violence. No more death. I won't have it. Clara. I mean it. Silas is dead. Maybe he deserved it. Maybe he didn't. But I won't build our new life on more killing. Even if it means protecting you. Protecting the boys. There has to be another way. Eli looked at her, at this woman who'd survived so much and still believed in something better. He wanted to argue, wanted to explain that men like Crane only understood force, but he also understood something else. If he became the kind of man who solved problems with bullets, he'd lose the thing that made him worth loving. "All right." His voice was quiet. "We'll find another way. Promise me." "I promise." She took his hand, squeezed it tight. They would find another way. They had to, because the alternative was losing everything they'd just found. The telegram records saved Clara. Sheriff Harden returned from town with proof that she'd been in Miller's Creek the exact hour Silas was shot in Denver. The shopkeeper remembered her clearly, a widow with kind eyes, sending word to her sister. Impossible for her to be in two places at once. The murder warrant was withdrawn, but Crane was still out there, still dangerous, still plotting. "We need to find him before he finds us," Eli said at breakfast. Clara set down her coffee cup. "You promised. No violence." "Finding him ain't violence, it's preparation. What difference does it make if we find him? He'll just keep coming." "Not if we can prove he killed Silas himself." The idea hung in the air. Daniel looked up from his plate. "How would we prove that?" Crane was Silas's man. He knew everything about Silas's business, his schedule, his habits. Eli leaned forward. If anyone could get close enough to kill him, it was Crane. But why would he kill the man paying him? Money. Maybe Silas owed him. Maybe Crane found out he was worth more dead than alive. Eli pushed back from the table. "I need to go to Denver." "No." Clara's voice was sharp. "You can't." "It's the only way. Someone needs to dig into Crane's background, find witnesses who saw them together, follow the money. Send someone else. Send Hector." "Hector doesn't know what to look for. I do." Clara stood, crossed to him, grabbed his shirt. "You just married me. We just became a family. And now you want to ride off into danger. I want to end this, once and for all. And if you don't come back." The question cut deep. Eli took her hands, held them against his chest. "I'll come back. I swear it." "You can't swear that. Nobody can." "Then I'll swear something else." He lifted her chin, made her look at him. "I'll swear that every breath I take, every step will be toward getting home to you, to our boys, to this life we're building." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I can't lose you. Not now. Not after everything." "You won't lose me." He kissed her forehead. "But I have to do this. For all of us." Clara closed her eyes, nodded once. "Come back to me, Eli Blackwood." "Always." He left that afternoon. Clara watched from the porch until he disappeared over the ridge. Her heart went with him. Daniel appeared beside her. "He'll be okay, Ma." Ma, not Mama. He was growing up so fast. "I know." She put her arm around him. "I just hate waiting." "Then don't wait. Keep busy. That's what Pa always says." Pa. Daniel calling Eli Pa. Something warm bloomed in her chest despite the fear. "You're right. Let's get your brothers started on chores." They walked inside together, a mother and son, holding on to hope. Denver was 3 days' hard ride. Eli pushed through, stopping only when his horse demanded rest. His mind churned the whole way. Crane was smart, careful. He wouldn't have killed Silas without a plan. But every plan had holes. Every murderer made mistakes. Eli just had to find them. He reached Denver on a Tuesday evening, found a cheap hotel near the business district, started asking questions. Silas Whitmore had been a well-known figure. Rich, connected, feared by some, hated by many. His death had made the papers. Shot in his study by an unknown assailant. No witnesses. Except Crane claimed he'd seen Clara do it. Eli tracked down Silas's former employees. Most wouldn't talk. Too scared. But a few remembered things. Crane had been acting strange the week before the murder. Nervous, secretive. One maid remembered hearing raised voices from Silas's study. Crane demanding money he was owed. Silas refusing. "They were screaming at each other," she whispered. "I thought Mr. Whitmore would kill Mr. Crane right there." "Did you tell the police?" "They didn't ask. They only wanted to hear about the widow." Eli pressed harder. Found a banker who'd handled Silas's accounts. "There were irregularities," the man admitted. "Large sums missing. I reported it to Mr. Whitmore, but he dismissed my concerns." "Who had access to those accounts?" "Only Mr. Whitmore and his assistant." "Crane." The banker nodded. "Victor Crane." The picture became clearer. Crane had been stealing from Silas. When confronted, he'd killed him, then blamed Clara to cover his tracks. But proving it was another matter. Eli needed witnesses, documents, something solid. He got something better. On the fourth day, Crane found him. Eli was leaving the bank when someone called his name. "Blackwood?" He turned. Crane stood across the street. Alone, hands visible. "You've been asking a lot of questions." "I have." "You should stop." "Why would I do that?" Crane crossed toward him. His eyes were cold, calculating. "Because if you don't, your pretty new wife might become a widow again." Eli's blood froze. "You threatening my family?" "I'm making an observation. Wyoming's a dangerous place. Things happen to people, accidents, tragedies." Crane smiled. "Would be a shame if something happened to those boys." Eli moved before he could think. He grabbed Crane by the throat and slammed him against the nearest wall. People scattered. Someone screamed, "You come near my family, I'll kill you myself." Crane's smile didn't waver, even as Eli's grip tightened. "There it is. The violence underneath the gentleman rancher." His voice was strained but mocking. "Go ahead. Kill me. Prove you're no better than me." Eli's hands shook. He wanted to squeeze, wanted to end this threat forever. But Clara's voice echoed in his mind. No more violence. No more death. He released Crane, stepped back. "You're not worth hanging for." Crane rubbed his throat, laughed. "You're weak, just like Silas said, a soft man pretending to be hard. I'm a man who keeps his promises, and I promise you this: whatever you're planning, I'll stop it. Whatever lies you're spreading, I'll expose them. You killed Silas Whitmore, and you're going to pay for it." Something flickered in Crane's eyes. Fear. "You can't prove anything." "Not yet, but I will." Eli turned to walk away. "Sleep well, Crane. Your days are numbered." He felt Crane's stare burning into his back the whole way down the street, but he didn't look back. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A young woman approached Eli at his hotel that night, nervous, glancing over her shoulder. "You're the one asking about Silas Whitmore." "I am. I know things that could help you." She twisted her hands together. "But I'm scared. Crane, he's dangerous. I know he is. That's why I need your help." She took a shaky breath. "My name is Anna. I was Silas's secretary. Before he died, he gave me documents, financial records. He said if anything happened to him, I should make sure they got to the authorities." Eli's heart hammered. "What's in them?" "Everything. The money Crane stole, the threats he made, even a letter Silas wrote the day he died." Her eyes filled with tears. He knew. He knew Crane was going to kill him. Why didn't he go to the police? Crane had something on him, something Silas couldn't let become public. She shook her head. "I don't know what it was, but it kept Silas quiet until it was too late." "Where are these documents now?" "Hidden. I was too scared to come forward, but then I heard about the widow, about Clara Whitmore, and how they're trying to blame her." Anna met his eyes. "I met her once. She was kind. She doesn't deserve this." "No, she doesn't. I'll give you the documents, But you have to promise to protect me. Crane will kill me if he finds out. You have my word. No one will touch you. Anna nodded, pulled a key from her pocket. There's a safety deposit box at First National Bank. Everything's inside. Take it to the authorities. End this. Eli took the key. It was small, cold, heavy with promise. Thank you, Anna. You're saving an innocent woman's life. I'm doing what's right. She started to turn away, then stopped. Mr. Blackwood, tell Clara Whitmore that Silas talked about her sometimes. He said she was the only person who ever made his brother happy. He said his brother's death was the worst thing that ever happened to their family. She paused. I think in his own twisted way, Silas wanted to protect her. He just didn't know how. Eli watched her disappear into the darkness. Then he went to find the sheriff. 3 days later, Victor Crane was arrested. The documents were damning. Financial records showing systematic theft, correspondence revealing Crane's threats, and Silas's final letter, written hours before his death, naming Crane as the man he feared most. The case against Clara collapsed completely. Crane tried to run, but didn't get far. They caught him at the train station ticket to San Francisco in his hand. Sheriff Harden sent a telegram to Eli that same afternoon. Crane arrested. Charges dropped against Mrs. Blackwood. Come home. It's over. Eli read those words 3 times. It's over. He started riding west within the hour. Clara saw the rider coming from a mile away. She knew it was Eli before she could make out his face. Something about the way he sat his horse, the angle of his shoulders. Boys! She burst through the kitchen door. Your father's home. They came running from every direction. Daniel from the barn, Samuel from the workshop, Thomas dragging Benjamin behind him, Jacob toddling as fast as his small legs could carry him. Eli barely dismounted before they surrounded him. Benjamin and Jacob grabbed his legs. Thomas threw arms around his waist. Samuel waited his turn with shining eyes. Daniel stood back, watching, then stepped forward and offered his hand. Welcome home, Pa. Eli ignored the hand, pulled the boy into a hug. It's good to be home, son. Clara pushed through the boys, threw herself into Eli's arms. You came back. I promised I would. Is it really over? It's really over. Crane's in jail. The charges are dropped. We're free. She pulled back to look at his face, searching for lies, finding none. Free. Free. The word felt strange, unfamiliar. She'd been running so long she'd forgotten what stillness felt like. What do we do now? Eli looked at her, at their boys, at the ranch spread out behind them. We live, we build, we become a family. We already are a family. Then we become more of one. Clara laughed through her tears, kissed him right there in front of everyone. The boys groaned and giggled. For the first time since Marcus died, Clara felt something she'd forgotten existed. Peace. Spring came slowly to Wyoming. The snow melted in patches. Creek beds swelled with runoff. Green pushed through the brown earth like hope pushing through despair. Clara knelt in her garden, hands deep in soil. The boys worked nearby planting seeds she'd ordered from town. Even Jacob had his own little section, mostly just making mud pies, but proud of his contribution. Mama, is this deep enough? Thomas held up a small hole. A little deeper, sweetheart. The roots need room to grow. Daniel appeared at the edge of the garden. He was taller now, broader. The winter had changed him in ways beyond the physical. Pa wants to know if you're coming in for lunch. Tell him 5 more minutes. He said you'd say that. He also said to remind you that the food's getting cold and the boys are hungry. Clara smiled. He knows me too well. She stood, brushed dirt from her dress, looked at her garden, her boys, her home. 4 months ago, she'd been running for her life through a blizzard. Now she was planting vegetables in her own soil. Come on, boys, let's go eat. They trooped inside a muddy, happy parade. Eli waited at the table. He'd taken to cooking lunch when Clara worked outside. Said it was only fair since she made breakfast and dinner. About time. He pretended to scowl. Thought I was going to have to eat this all myself. You would have waited. Clara kissed his cheek. You always wait. Maybe. They sat together, 7 people around a table built for 12. The noise was tremendous. Benjamin telling stories. Jacob demanding more bread. Thomas and Samuel arguing about who'd planted more seeds. Daniel asking Eli about the afternoon's work. In the chaos, Clara caught Eli's eye. He smiled. Not a big smile. Just a small curve of his lips. But it said everything. This is what I was missing. This is what I was waiting for. After lunch, Eli asked Clara to walk with him. They strolled past the barn, past the bunkhouse, toward a small rise overlooking the valley. Neither spoke for a while. I've been thinking, Eli finally said. About what? About us. About the boys. He stopped walking, faced her. When I asked you to marry me, I said it was practical. I said maybe with time it could become something more. I remember. I was wrong. Clara's heart skipped. Wrong. It's not maybe anymore. It's not with time. He took her hands. I love you, Clara. I think I started loving you the moment you collapsed on my porch. I was just too scared to admit it. Tears blurred her vision. Eli. Let me finish. I've spent 12 years building walls. Telling myself I didn't need anyone. Telling myself love was a weakness I couldn't afford. His voice cracked. Then you came. You and those 5 impossible boys. And every wall I'd built came crashing down. I love you too. The words burst out of her. I've loved you since you carried William upstairs that first night. Since you made Christmas presents for boys you didn't even know. Since you stood on that porch and told Silas he couldn't have us. Really? Really? Eli pulled her close, kissed her deeply. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. I want to do this right, Eli said. I want to court you properly, take you to dances in town, bring you flowers, all the things I should have done before. You saved our lives. I think that counts as courting. It doesn't. You deserve romance, tenderness, all the things I forgot how to give. Clara cupped his face in her hands. Then we'll learn together, both of us, one day at a time. One day at a time. They stood on the rise looking out over their land, their home, their future. The boys need a proper education, Clara said. There's a school in town. I want to enroll them. All of them. Well, maybe not Jacob yet. She smiled. But the others, they're smart. They deserve a chance. I've been thinking about that too. About building a schoolhouse on the property, hiring a teacher, something for our boys and the ranch hands' children. You'd do that? I'd do anything for this family. He paused. There's something else I want to talk about. What? The ranch, the inheritance. Eli's face grew serious. When I die, I want it to go to all 5 boys equally. Not just the oldest, all of them. Clara's breath caught. You'd split your inheritance 5 ways. It's not about the land, it's about belonging. I want every one of those boys to know this is their home, that they have equal claim to it, that they're Blackwoods in every way that matters. Eli. She couldn't find words. I know it's unusual. Normally, the eldest inherits everything, but Daniel doesn't need more burden. He needs to know his brothers are taken care of, and the younger ones need to know they matter just as much. You've really thought about this. I've had time, long nights by the fire while you all slept, wondering how to make this family work, how to give those boys the father they deserve. You already are the father they deserve. I'm trying to be. He looked away. Some days I feel like I'm failing, like I don't know what I'm doing, like they need someone better. They don't need someone better. They need you. Clara turned his face back to hers. You're patient when Benjamin won't stop talking. You're gentle when Jacob has nightmares. You teach Thomas in the workshop like he's your own flesh and blood. You treat Daniel like a man when he needs respect, and a boy when he needs comfort. Samuel's the one I worry about. Why Samuel? He's quiet, watchful. I can never tell what he's thinking. Clara smiled. Samuel's fine. He told me last week that you're the best thing that ever happened to this family. He said that, his exact words. He said he finally understands what it feels like to have a real father. Eli's eyes glistened. I never thought I'd have this again. A family, children, someone to grow old with. You have all of it now, and we're not going anywhere. He pulled her close again. They stood wrapped in each other's arms as the sun moved across the sky. Summer arrived with wildflowers and long days. The ranch thrived. Cattle fattened on rich grass. Horses grew sleek and strong. The garden Clara had planted burst with vegetables. The boys grew too. Daniel shot up 3 inches. His voice started to deepen. He worked alongside Eli and the ranch hands like he'd been born to it. Thomas became skilled enough in the workshop to sell his carvings in town. Samuel started reading law books from Eli's library, talking about becoming a lawyer someday. Benjamin never stopped talking, but now his words had purpose. He wanted to be a preacher like the one who'd married his mother and Eli. Jacob was simply happy, following his brothers everywhere, getting into everything, filling the house with laughter. Clara watched her children bloom and felt her heart expand to hold all the joy. On a warm evening in July, the family gathered on the porch after dinner. The boys sprawled across the steps and railings. Clara sat in the rocking chair Eli had built for her. Eli leaned against the post, smoking his pipe. Tell us about the war again, Pa. That was Benjamin, endlessly fascinated by stories. You've heard them all 100 times. Tell us anyway. Eli smiled. Began a story about a narrow escape through enemy lines. The boys listened rapt, even Daniel, who pretended to be too old for stories. Clara watched her husband speak, watched her sons listen, watched this family she'd somehow stumbled into battered and frozen and desperate on a Christmas Eve that felt like a lifetime ago. She'd lost so much. Her first husband, her home, her security, her sense of safety. But she'd found more, so much more. A man who loved her fiercely, sons who were growing into good men, a home that wrapped around her like a warm embrace. Mama, Jacob had climbed into her lap. Why are you crying? She hadn't realized she was. Because I'm happy, sweetheart. You cry when you're happy. Sometimes, when you're very, very happy. Jacob considered this. Then I'll cry too. He squeezed his eyes shut and made an exaggerated crying face. Clara laughed, pulled him close, kissed his forehead. I love you, little one. Love you too, Mama. Eli caught her eye over their son's head. His expression said everything. This is enough. This is everything. This is home. Fall brought harvest and preparation for winter. Clara helped the ranch hands store vegetables. Eli made sure the buildings were tight against the coming cold. The boys gathered firewood and stacked it high. One afternoon, Clara found Eli standing at Ruth and Emma's graves. She approached quietly, stood beside him without speaking. I used to come here every day, he said, for years, just standing here, talking to them, apologizing for being alive when they weren't. And now I come to thank them. He looked at her. I asked Ruth once in a dream if it was okay for me to love again. She said something I'll never forget. What? She said the heart doesn't replace, it expands. That loving you doesn't mean loving her less. It means becoming someone capable of more love than I ever imagined. Clara took his hand. I'd like to meet them someday, properly, leave flowers, thank them for the man they helped shape. Ruth would have liked you. She would have said you're too good for me. She would have been wrong. Eli smiled, kissed her hand. Come on, the boys are waiting. Daniel wants to show us something in the barn. They walked away from the graves together. But something stayed behind. A weight Eli had carried for 12 years. He'd finally set it down. Winter returned like an old friend. The first snow fell on a December evening. Clara watched it through the window, remembering another snowy night. A broken wagon, a desperate walk, a door that opened when all hope was lost. You're thinking about it. Eli appeared beside her. The night you came. How did you know? Because I think about it too, every time it snows. Do you regret opening that door? Only that I didn't open it sooner. He wrapped his arms around her from behind. I wasted 12 years in that empty house. 12 years I could have been living, if I'd just been brave enough to try again. You weren't ready. Neither was I. We both had to become who we needed to be. And who are we now? Clara turned in his arms, looked up at him. We're the people who found each other in a storm, who built something beautiful from broken pieces, who chose each other not because we had to, but because we wanted to. That sounds like a pretty good answer. It's the only answer that matters. They kissed as snow fell outside. Christmas Eve arrived with carols and laughter. Clara had decorated every inch of the house. Garlands on the banisters, candles in every window. A tree that the boys had cut themselves decorated with ornaments they'd made. The dining table groaned under the weight of food. Turkey and ham, potatoes and bread, pies and cakes and treats. All 7 of them sat together holding hands for grace. Dear Lord, Eli said, thank you for this food. Thank you for this home. Thank you for this family I never knew I needed. His voice cracked. Thank you for the woman who walked out of a blizzard and into my heart. Thank you for 5 boys who call me Pa. Thank you for second chances I didn't deserve. Amen, the boys chorused. Clara wiped her eyes. That was beautiful. It was true, every word. They ate until they couldn't move, then gathered by the fire for presents. The boys had made gifts for each other. Daniel gave Eli a leather belt he'd tooled himself. Thomas presented Clara with a carved jewelry box so beautiful it made her cry. Samuel had written a poem for his mother that she'd treasure forever. Benjamin gave everyone drawings he'd spent weeks perfecting. Jacob gave hugs and was proud of his contribution. Eli gave Clara a ring, simple, silver, set with a small blue stone. This was my mother's, he said. She gave it to Ruth on our wedding day. Now I'm giving it to you. Eli. Clara stared at the ring through tears. You're the heart of this family, Clara. You brought us all together. You made this house a home again. He slipped the ring onto her finger. This belongs to you now, forever. She threw her arms around him, held on tight. I love you. I love you too, more than I knew I could. The boys piled on, turning the embrace into a family huddle of arms and laughter and love. Outside, snow fell soft and quiet. Inside, the fire crackled warm. And in a house that had been empty for 12 years, 7 people held each other close and knew they were home. Later, after the boys had gone to bed, Eli and Clara sat by the fire. 1 year, she said softly. It's been almost exactly 1 year since I knocked on your door. Best knock I ever heard. I was so scared, so sure you'd turn us away. I almost didn't open it. Eli stared into the flames. Almost told myself it was just the wind. Almost rolled over and went back to sleep. What made you open it? I don't know. Instinct maybe, or something deeper. He looked at her. Maybe part of me knew you were out there. Knew my life was about to change. Do you believe in fate? I didn't used to. Now I'm not so sure. He took her hand. All I know is that everything in my life, the good and the bad, the joy and the grief, led me to that moment. To you standing on my porch. To this. This being, everything, this house full of noise, These boys who drive me crazy and make me proud. You beside me every morning when I wake up." His voice dropped. "I spent 12 years dreading each new day. Now I can't wait for them." Clara leaned against him. Let the warmth of the fire and his body surround her. "I want to grow old with you." "You will." "I want to watch our boys become men. Watch them fall in love. Have families of their own." "We will." "I want grandchildren running through this house. I want to rock in this chair and tell them stories about the night their grandmother appeared out of a snowstorm." "All of it." Eli kissed her hair. "We'll have all of it." They sat in comfortable silence. The fire popped and crackled. Outside, snow continued to fall. Eli. Thank you." "For what?" "For opening the door. For letting us stay. For becoming the man I never knew I needed." She lifted her head, met his eyes. "For giving my boys a father and giving me a home." "You're welcome." He smiled. "Thank you for being stubborn enough to walk 5 miles through a blizzard. For being brave enough to run from a monster. For being kind enough to love a broken old rancher. You're not old. I'm getting there. Then we'll get there together." He pulled her close. They sat wrapped in each other until the fire burned low. Then they climbed the stairs to their room where they'd face tomorrow together. And every tomorrow after that. Because that's what families do. They endure, they grow, they love. Through storms and sunshine. Through winter and spring. Through everything life throws at them. They hold on to each other. And they never let go. In the master bedroom, Eli stood at the window while Clara prepared for bed. "The storm's getting stronger. Good thing we're all inside." He turned to look at her, this woman who'd changed everything. "I never told you what my father said, about wealth." "You mentioned it once, something about wealth not being what you own." "A man's true wealth isn't what he owns, it's who waits for him by the fire." Eli crossed to the bed, sat beside her. "I spent 30 years getting that backwards. Thought if I just built enough, earned enough, accumulated enough, I'd be happy. Were you? Not for one single moment. Not until you." Clara reached for his hand. "I had the opposite problem. I had love but no security, always worrying about money, about providing, about what would happen if something went wrong. And now? Now I have both, love and security, a partner and a provider." She smiled. "A man who built an empire and was generous enough to share it with strangers." "You're not strangers, you're family." "I know, but we were strangers once, for about 5 minutes." Eli laughed, actually laughed. The sound filled the room. 5 minutes. That's how long it took for you to become necessary. Necessary. Like breathing, like sunlight, like the heartbeat I forgot I had. He lay down beside her, sighed. "I can't remember what this house felt like before you. I don't want to." Clara curled against him, her head on his chest, his arm around her shoulders. "Tell me we'll be okay," she whispered. "Tell me the storms are behind us." "The storms are behind us. Whatever comes next, we face it together, as a family, as partners." He kissed her forehead. "As the luckiest people in Wyoming." She smiled against his chest. Outside, wind howled. Inside, 2 people who'd found each other in darkness held on tight. The fire still burned downstairs, warm enough for all of them, warm enough forever. And in that house full of love, surrounded by 5 sleeping boys, and a future bright with promise, Clara Blackwood finally understood what home really meant. It wasn't walls or land or security. It was the people who waited by the fire, the ones who opened doors when the world turned cold, the ones who said yes when everything said no, the ones who chose you every single day and kept choosing. That was home. That was wealth. That was everything.